Benefits of computing. Computing has changed almost every aspect of our lives. With wider access to smaller, faster, more efficient, and less expensive technology, human knowledge and capacity has surged. Not only have consumers' lives been changed, we've been able to make advancements across many industries. How has computing impacted these industries? Healthcare, education, agriculture, manufacturing, and government. Think about the last time you visited the doctor's office. How did computers and technology in general impact your visit? Maybe visiting the doctor's office didn't even mean leaving your home at all. The relatively new practice of e-visits means you can get advice and treatment without even leaving your home. Here are some other ways computing has changed healthcare. Digital medical records mean that you can access your health information anytime and from anywhere, even your cell phone. Digital medical records also make it easy for your doctors to share information about your medical history. The ability to send messages and emails to your healthcare providers has improved patient-doctor communication. For patients with ongoing health issues, small devices can be worn and monitored remotely by doctors to monitor things like heart rate, blood sugar levels, blood pressure, etc. On a larger scale, medical trials and new medical innovations can be developed more quickly because doctors are able to quickly communicate. Aside from keeping attendance and grade records electronically, computing and the use of the internet has drastically changed the landscape of education. The statistics in K-12 online education are not certain, but according to Evergreen Education Group, between 2003 and 2014, the number of students in grades kindergarten to 12 taking at least one online class has increased from 317,000 to 2.7 million. According to educationdata.org, in 2017, about one-third of college undergraduate students were taking some or all of their classes online. 19.5% took some but not all classes online, and 13.3% enrolled only in online classes. Computing has allowed farmers to see higher yields from their land. By using machinery, farmers are able to farm larger tracts of land using fewer people. Technology has improved communication among farmers, specifically around livestock breeding and crop genetics and pest control. Another impact of technology, which has not necessarily proven to be good for the environment, is the increase of monoculture farming, where one crop is planted on large plots. While this increases crop yield, this practice depletes soil of nutrients and increases the likelihood of an entire field being destroyed by pests. Almost no sector has been as impacted by computing as manufacturing. In the mid-1980s, robotics began to infiltrate the manufacturing process. While initially there was a lot of fear about robots replacing human workers, what has actually occurred has been largely positive. Generally, robots have taken over jobs that were dangerous or repetitive, which has left more complex jobs for human workers. There is a lot of debate about how artificial intelligence, or AI, will fuel a new wave of changes in manufacturing. In what ways do you think AI might change manufacturing? One way that AI will impact manufacturing is related to supply chains. Autonomous vehicles are already being manufactured and tested by some auto companies. The first order of business for these vehicles will impact the way that goods are delivered. In the next 10 to 20 years, autonomous vehicles will likely be used to deliver parts to assembly plants, as well as to deliver finished products to consumers. Government has been impacted in many ways by computing. In some cases, computing has made government better. Some of the positive impacts of computing include increased access to voting by mail, increased accountability for elected officials due to online streaming of legislative sessions, and easier lines of communication between citizens and elected officials. However, there are downfalls to the proliferation of computing in the government. With high-level officials communicating by email, there is always a threat that hackers could gain access to top-secret information. Keeping this information safe requires ongoing maintenance and is extremely costly for the government and the citizens who fund the government. There is no doubt that computing has come with benefits. With access to vast knowledge at one's fingertips, cross-industry innovation, or taking an innovation from one field and applying it to solve a problem in another field has become more commonplace. Some examples of cross-industry innovation include adding entertainment screens to MRI machines to make medical procedures more enjoyable. A new website where people can rent boats was inspired by Airbnb, and BMW's navigation system was inspired by a video game controller. Another benefit of computing is the ability to crowdsource. Crowdsourcing is the practice of obtaining information or ideas from a large group of people. You may hear crowdsourcing referred to as citizen science. Examples of crowdsourcing include businesses asking consumers to share ideas about packaging or branding, universities, scientists, or laboratories reaching out to the public about ideas to solve a problem, companies seeking ideas for innovations, and scientists asking for people to share specific data, like animal sightings, weather data, etc. Can you think of some specific examples? The Merlin Bird ID app is one specific example of crowdsourcing. Developed by Cornell University, the app leads users through a series of questions to help them identify birds that they see. One question asks for the user's location. When the user finds their bird, they click on a button that says, "That's my bird." The app is interesting to users and helps them identify new birds, but it also provides valuable information for ornithologists at Cornell about where birds are located. The Health Map website and application is another example of how crowdsourcing impacts the public and health professions. Health Map tracks, monitors, and displays in real time outbreaks such as the swine flu, COVID-19, and SARS around the world. Health Map gathers thousands of public reports of positive cases of diseases and displays a broad amount of information on its global map. During an outbreak, Health Map has many visitors, as it shows how disease spread can be tracked across the world. Crowdfunding is a spin-off on crowdsourcing. This is a process that allows people to seek funding for new ideas, projects, and innovations from the general public using sites like GoFundMe, Indiegogo, and Patreon. Crowdfunding has been used to provide startup money, otherwise known as capital, for new businesses, as well as to fund inventions and artistic projects. While each of the sites above has unique terms of service and work a little differently, all crowdfunding sites work in basically the same way. Sites like GoFundMe, Indiegogo, and Patreon provide platforms for people who need money to collect, often small amounts, from many different people to meet their funding goal. Sometimes those who contribute to a cause do so purely as a donation. Other times, the person raising the money offers something in return. For example, startup companies often offer investors a share in the company. This is often in the form of stocks. For those seeking money to fund smaller businesses, which cannot offer stocks, the return for investors might be receiving a product or service from the company once they get up and running. Patreon is a unique crowdfunding site for artists. This platform gives fans a way to directly contribute to the work of artists and creatives that they love. People who contribute on an ongoing basis are usually offered rewards like early releases, contact with the artist, special merchandise, etc. Open innovation is the intentional practice that promotes sharing of information and across groups. Open innovation runs against the common current in business and technology that seeks to keep information secret or only known within one organization. Think of it as being open to sharing and receiving information. Many companies and businesses like to keep new changes to their products or methods secret to their competitors, in the hopes of being more successful. Open innovation promotes a frequent give and take of information from both inside and outside a company, with the goal being to develop the best possible idea.